Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sights on Sinnoh, the Diamond and Pearl anime podcast going through Ash's journey of the Sinnoh region. But this week we are doing episode 61, covering episode 51 of the anime, specifically for season 11, Battle Dimension. With me today is Karina and Brady. How are you guys doing?
Hello, doing alright.
Hey, doing well.
For Sights on Sinnoh, we're following our heroes as they arrive in Canalave City. So,
real quick, before we start this, I did want to point out, you started singing the intro song in the beginning, and It reminded me, I put the intro song at 1.5 speed, and it is so much better.
Really?
So much better. You have to check it out.
Okay. Is it just
and
like
you know how much
basic?
I hate the intro songs.
The theme songs?
Yeah.
They're related, but now that these episodes are no longer on Pokemon TV, I've been watching them on Prime Video, and there is a skip intro button on Prime Video, which is great.
I didn't know it was on Prime Video. I found it on a interesting website on the internet.
Yeah, I think Prime kind of stole them from Pokemon because one day they just disappeared and they're like, oh, they're on Prime now. And they saw a tweet from Pokemon like a few days before that saying that they had the Pokemon movies from Sinnoh there as well. So I think they got the deal or whatever for the rights to play those episodes. So yeah, they are there. They're also on Hoopla, hopefully still at the time of whoever's listening to this. But jumping into the description of the episode, which is called Jumping Rocket Ship. Barry joins Ash and the gang as they take a blimp to Canalave City. As soon as they disembark, Team Rocket, disguised as photographers, offers to take a commemorative picture of everyone and their Pokemon. So, this is an interesting start because if you guys have been following along, we met Barry about 2 episodes ago, and they all kind of decided to come to Canalave City together because Barry's going to go train and get stronger, and Ash is going to challenge the gym. And kind of out of nowhere, they're just like, yeah, we're going to take a blimp across like half of the region to get to Canalave City.
Gotta get that nice shot of the map.
I guess I was going to ask you this because I'm pretty sure you played Karina through the Sinnoh region. What did you think of the Canalave City layout?
I played it when I was very, very young, so
okay.
I don't know, man.
Okay. I was just curious because the way it's shown in the anime, it's like a bunch of islands, and in the game, it's just like a port. So I found that part pretty interesting. Like, there are 2 islands you can go to from there, but it was like a weird arch thing connecting them. I'm like,
yeah, they had like bridges connecting the small little islands together for one big city.
Yeah, it was like a very intricate design for a city that's not that like big and sprawling, I guess. So I just found that kind of interesting. But yeah, this whole blimp thing I think is fine because either way it was probably like they had to probably find some quick way to get over there, since otherwise it would take, I don't know, like 10 to 15 episodes to get back all the way here. Because in the games, what you do at this point is pretty much just fly back to Jubilife City and walk over to the area where you surf across to get to Canalave. So I do kind of appreciate that they're like, we'll just cut that and get here. But on the blimp, of course, is Barry. And what are your guys' first impressions of this character?
We already have one Paul. Do we need another Paul? Like, really? Really?
What makes you say that?
Well, like, it's not that he's another Paul, but it's like we already have somebody who's like a total jerk and just like writes Ash off, and now we have like Paul Stan. And it's like, well, we already, I don't know, not a fan of Paul to begin with, and now we introduce somebody who, like, for no good reason is, like, really into Paul and really belittling to, like, the whole team right off the bat, and it's like, okay, sure, that's fine.
Barry actually made me like Paul more.
Ooh.
Not that
Really?
I liked Paul to begin with either, but definitely bumped Paul up a bit.
Interesting. How come?
Well, it has absolutely nothing to do with the way that they treat Pokemon, and everything to do with just his whiny mannerisms. I just felt like he was whiny the entire time.
Yes.
And then his catch line, oh my gosh.
I'm gonna find you.
It's so bad.
Okay, the first few times he said that, I thought he was saying, I'm gonna find you, which like makes more sense because they're running after Team Rocket and he's like, if something, whatever, I'm gonna find you. Like that makes sense, right? You're gonna like go after them. But he said it like 2 more times and I'm like, no, he's saying, I'm gonna find you. And I don't know why. Like it makes no sense.
Oh, like that guy in Taken. The dad.
Oh.
Like he's gonna go and find them. Yes.
I mean, I can see that. I think this is all to kind of show Barry's entitlement in many ways, and the whiniest, like the amount of him complaining, along with his team of Pokemon, is what leads me to believe that he's supposed to be the 12-year-old kid who's playing through this game. Does that make sense?
Compared to like Ash being 10.
Well,
so it's kind of like, well, so I guess what I'm asking is, are you saying like he's the kid that's just a little bit older and a little bit more experienced, but still is a starter, but doesn't realize that?
Kind of the opposite. Like,
oh,
the fact that he has an Empoleon that has Hydro Cannon, Hyper Beam, and Hydro Pump. And he is all about getting... What was that?
So that's a lot of H's.
Yeah. And those are all very powerful moves. So, by what I mean, like, the 12-year-old playing through the game is the kid who picks up the game and really just uses their starter to get through everything and makes that starter super over leveled and just has all the most powerful moves that he can get in the game, he or she. So that's kind of my take and what JM and I were talking about, in terms of his portrayal, in terms of like how he just rushes through things and doesn't want to wait. So I was wondering if that came off for either of you when watching and looking at Barry's character.
I don't think I really picked up on that, but I can see it now that you pointed it out.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on it the first time I watched this like years ago, but looking at it now, I'm like, oh, geez, they're really trying to show like how annoying that is, like even to other characters who take the time to build out their team, bond with their Pokemon, and all that stuff. But Barry's very much the like, I just want to get to the end of the game already, and I'm gonna rush through it as much as I can.
See, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me as long as you're not like ruining the story or ruining things for other players. Because typically it takes a lot longer to build a more round out team versus just going in with your starter. And so I feel like if you wanted to like speed through the story the first day it came out, you're probably just going to solely focus on your starter. You want to get to the end game content, you're going to focus on maybe like 1 or 2 Pokemon.
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. I guess typically here, like, we're assuming this is just kind of the first time playing through it. But it is interesting that he has the Platinum version of the Poketch, which I don't really talk about here, but it's kind of an upgraded version of what you get in Diamond and Pearl. But as Team Rocket has them all in their trap to take their picture, they get caught in the net, and everyone kind of starts battling, which causes a huge explosion and separates everyone into all these different groups. I've written some of them out here. We get like Pikachu, Pachirisu, Mime Jr., and Meowth. Staryu and Gliscor. Piplup, Groudle, Empoleon, and Happiny is another group. And then everyone else just kind of is like found pretty much immediately, so they don't matter too much. But
Okay, first,
Uh,
haven't
yeah.
we done this before? Haven't they done this exact same thing where they're like on a boat and Team Rocket like gets them to all take out their Pokemon and then steals them? Didn't that happen last season?
we
Or am I
got
just getting mad deja vu?
we did get that last season where they're in a cave and Dawn is racing to get her Poketch app.
Right.
And as they're trying to take a picture, a bunch of like Graveler and Geodude just use rollout and separate everyone into this maze. And Paul is in there trying to catch a Fearow.
Right. So this is literally exactly the same.
It's pretty
Like
close.
they're all out for a picture and they all get scattered and then they spend the rest of the episode trying to get back together.
It's the same trap, except this time all the humans are still together.
Okay.
So in some ways, it's like less about each character. It's just like, all right, we'll just deal with the Pokemon. And as it goes through, it's very clearly mostly going to be about Meowth this episode.
Well, that
Brady,
makes
were
it
you saying something?
completely different.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so everyone kind of goes and races after the Pokemon. And Meowth is like, oh, I'm here with Pikachu and Pachirisu who are already on guard. So I'm gonna try and trick them so that it's easier for the rest of Team Rocket to capture them. What do you think about this plan from Meowth?
I think the idea of how Meowth thinks it's going to go is good. I think the implementation of it in the episode was not good.
Yeah, that's pretty much my take on it. It's like it has very little elaboration on it. And as we go through, it's kind of just the same beat over and over. I kind of feel like Pikachu should have just grabbed Pachirisu and ran out of there.
Yeah, I'm sure Pikachu has found Ash in way worse situations, and they've reunited without the help of Meowth, so they could have done that again.
Oh yeah, totally. And Pachirisu, as we've seen before, is like a very speedy Pokemon, so I think they wouldn't have much trouble kind of getting away. I might have seen him tagging along more if he had like Happiny with him instead, because it's like, oh, this is the baby Pokemon of the group, so I kind of want to be more cautious with it.
Okay, but fast forward, and I think Happiny was totally fine, considering he was giving Grotle a ride around.
Oh my gosh, that was so awesome. I'm not sure if you guys know the movie Land Before Time, or the movies.
Yes! Oh my gosh.
When Happiny had the Grotle, it looked like Spike. I don't know why. It just instantly reminded me of Spike from Land Before Time.
Okay, sidebar, but you know those like magical leaf things from Land Before Time? Like the magical
Tree Star
leaf-looking things? I remember wanting to eat those so bad when I was little, and I would watch that and I'd be like, I just want to eat one of those things so bad. It looks so good, and that's like basically all I remember from Land Before Time.
They made them look pretty good.
What do you think they would taste like?
Magic.
That, yeah, pretty much.
Fair. And like magic, Staravia and Gliscor appear out of nowhere, and Ash is like, all right, yeah, come over. That was easy. Like, okay, we got our flyers. So that's gonna make everything much better. But they're not the only ones in the sky, as Jesse and James are kind of piloting their balloon around as usual, looking for their Pokemon as well. And James just pulls out this decoy Staravia, sprays it with like a perfume, and uses it to distract Ash's Staravia.
I also had a bow.
Oh yes, of course. How could I forget? It has the bow on it. Just the perfect accessory there. And then Ash is like, "All right, Gliscor, you're the backup plan. Go take care of Team Rocket." And they don't have a female Gliscor doll to distract him, so they go down. But it's like, I kind of feel like they did it better the first time, where they just capture Staravia and kind of just have it in the cage below their balloon the whole time.
We need something new and original for this episode.
Yeah.
Honestly, it caught me off guard, so I kind of liked it.
Okay.
I was like not expecting it, but when he started spraying the perfume on it, and I was like, "Oh, the pheromones! Oh man, this is genius."
Yeah, I guess we underestimated the sense of smell on these avian creatures, apparently. But as Team Rocket is kind of climbing out of the river, we get the best thing in this episode, honestly, which is probably Krogunk.
Yes, 100%.
He's just cruising along on the boat, and like no one's bothering him. He's not paying attention to anything around him. Just he's just having the time of his life, like cruising around here.
I swear there were like 3 or 4 different scenes of Krogunk in different places, just chilling.
Yeah,
it was so good.
Yeah, they're just fun because he doesn't care about anything clearly, but everyone's looking for their Pokemon. And then we cut to Piplup's group, which, as you guys mentioned before, has Happiny, Groudle, and also Empoleon.
Oh yeah, Piplup is like ready to take the lead and very confident as to which way to go, and Piplup would know because his head is about 8 times bigger than Empoleon, so clearly Piplup has all of the brains.
You right? You think that he very much has that, like, I'm in charge, follow me, I know where to go. But we run into our first dead end here, and he's like, no, we're good, let's go. And he just leads the group another direction. Meowth and Pikachu are having their own talks, and Meowth explains, like, he's tired of being blasted off, and he's just like, he wants to retire from Team Rocket, basically, at this point, after all the stuff that's happened to them.
Or so he says.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, common manipulation tactic. It was decently convincing when he started talking about all the stuff that Jesse and James make him do specifically, and I stepped back for a second and I realized, like, Meowth kind of carries them.
Mm-hmm. He's very much the brains of that team.
He's kind of like everything.
Well, I would say Jesse is kind of like the fierce passion of the team, and like kind of gets everyone motivated. James in some ways is like the moral compass when it's convenient. And then Meowth like makes everything happen, basically. Like, the balloon has his head. It doesn't have Jesse's head, it doesn't have James' head, it's his head, which I think is very representative. But then we cut back to Staravia, who's love struck, according to the closed captions, trying to swoon over the doll Staravia, who's just perched in a tree. Barry's complaining about the roads, as usual, and then conveniently out of nowhere, we just get, like, half of the Pokemon turn the corner, and it's like Baneri, Swinub, Ambipom for Dawn, Weasel and Chimchar for Ash, and Sudowoodo for Brock. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we're never going to see their adventures, I guess.
Yeah, the thing I found with this episode was that, like, there wasn't anything to overcome. Like, over the course of the episode, all of the Pokemon just showed up, and that was the episode.
I thought this would be a great opportunity to show off the new Pokemon, or like the evolved forms of Pokemon that we didn't have the last time everyone got separated like this. Like, what's Chimchar gonna do? What's Ambipom gonna do? Swinub and all that. But they barely get any time to shine, which is kind of disappointing.
It's almost like, why even have them out? You could have just done without having all your Pokemon out. I don't know.
Right, like, there's just no point. Like, the main groups here are really Pikachus and Meowths, kind of Piplups, and then we just have Krogunk just like doing its own thing. But yeah, all the other Pokemon don't really add much. As even like Team Rocket in the next scene just immediately finds Carnivine, Seviper, and Wobbuffet without much issue. And then we come back to Piplup's group, who is the very like we have a great pose from Empoleon here, as with its flipper hands on its hips, just looking at Piplup, kind of disappointed, and Groudle just falling over from exhaustion because they've run into another dead end. Karina, would you like the honors of Piplup's course of action here?
Wait, what did Piplup do here?
Piplup is sad. It starts like walking over and then just motions for Empoleon to take the lead.
I must have been so zoned out because I do not remember this part, but that sounds adorable and sad.
Yeah, he just like gives up, and you probably don't remember this because Happini is carrying Grottle in this scene.
That's probably what happened.
Yeah,
yeah, I do remember that, so I'm pretty sure that just like retroactively interfered with whatever happened previously because that happened, and I was like, oh my god, highlight of this right here.
Yeah, very, very understandable for sure. Our heroes just find Pikachu and Meowth and everyone across the lake. And Ash calls to them, and they're like, "Yeah, like that's it." Like they just see each other, and Meowth freaks out because he's like, "Oh shoot, my plan is going down the drain. I need to figure out what to do here." So he takes Pikachu and Pachirisu into the bushes and hides them, and tells them, "Oh, like watch out, it's Team Rocket. We gotta we gotta hide from them," because immediately Pikachu is suspicious, according to the closed captions.
Wait, closed captions gave like the facial expressions of Pikachu?
Yeah, in like brackets, they'll say like
So
sad,
weird.
suspicious. Karina's called out a bunch of these on previous episodes as well. But
I guess
They are
that's just
excellent.
weird to me because like you don't need volume to pick up on those emotions,
mm,
right?
And that's why it's all the more entertaining.
yeah,
like it when-
exactly.
When Krogunk gives you the exact same expression up across a bunch of scenes, but like the subtitles give you what emotion Krogunk is
Yeah.
conveying with his blank expression every time.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll have to start watching it in closed caption.
they add a lot. It's really funny. Like right here, as Meowth tries to like backtrack and say, "No, it's Team Rocket. We gotta run." Pikachu's expression is captioned as unimpressed by Meowth's facade here.
Literally
And-
PKMN Chew.
Yes, this should be the new email for that. Definitely.
Okay, so let's go back to when they were across the river.
Yeah.
I mean, how far do Pokeball like recalls go? Could Dawn have recalled the Pachirisu and then Ash had Buizel go swim across to get Pikachu back? Like, seems pretty easy.
That's true. He did have Weasel already. I feel like that easily could have happened.
Scared of a little water this time.
It was a kind of wide river, I'll say, but
How
you're
far do
swimming-
they go? I mean, like off the top of your head, do you remember like a pretty far recall?
Maybe like 10 meters?
Yeah, I think that could have made it across that river.
Maybe.
Stream.
I don't know. I guess they want to just like not grab the Pokemon, and they're like, "All right, go in your ball." They still want to treat them like animals and like comfort them, all that stuff. So I think your Weasel solution, however, would easily remedy that by just like Weasel could inflate its collar and carry both of them back without a problem. But instead, what happens is everyone goes back through the city and tries to cross to the other side, but they keep running into dead ends because there's like the worst architecture and accessibility ever in the city, with just stairs everywhere and rivers and all that stuff. Another Krogunk appearance there. Team Rocket is also very frustratedly trying to get to the other side. And this is actually when Meowth goes into the bushes and hides everyone. So instead, what our heroes find and Team Rocket finds is each other. And they're like, Team Rocket! Twerps! And then just kind of stare each other down. Like, that's it. Like, they're like... They don't battle or anything. They just kind of trade insults with each other, which I'm like... just blast them off. Like, get rid of them. Buy time or something.
They don't have their full teams.
Right, we don't have Dawn's ace, to be fair, but we got Buizel, we got Ambipom, we got some powerhouses still. I guess Brock only does have Sudowoodo, but hey, he's got Mimic. He's fine. He can provide great support with pretty much anyone else's moves, which is great. We cut back to Piplup's group, which is now led by Empoleon, as they run into a dead end themselves, showing that Piplup was not the problem here. It's just this city. Do you think this is a good defense for Piplup in future cases, Karina?
Yes, absolutely. Always listen to Piplup, and if Piplup is wrong, it's not Piplup's fault.
Precisely.
Moral of this episode.
Couldn't have said it better. Our heroes are on the other side of the river, and they're like, oh, hey, there you are. And that's it. Like, again, not much conflict. We just cut to later. And now Barry and Ash are, like, arguing over which direction to go. And Pikachu, Pachirisu, and everyone else are just strolling down, see our heroes, and run over to them. And like, okay, that's it. Like that was half the episode. Is them just like finding each other completely coincidentally. And then Meowth comes over and tells them, "Yep, I'm done with Team Rocket. I spent the whole day with Pikachu and Pachirisu trying to help them get back to their trainers. So you can trust me. I'm a good guy." And everyone's just like shocked.
I think he actually was considering the movie star deal. Even though his idea of a movie star is a, well, like
it was like a TV shopping show host.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. It's like that's what you would think of as a movie star, but hey, whatever, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because at this point is when everyone's like, hey, if you're actually going to turn over a new leaf, here are all your options. Honestly, like, there's probably a lot of demand for a Pokemon that can translate how like other Pokemon are feeling. Like there's probably
that's exactly what like Dawn and Ash's argument is like, wow, if you leave Team Rocket, you could have such a glamorous career because you could do anything you wanted as a talking Pokemon.
Right. And I think Dawn even says like, hey, I happen to know a famous TV anchor who is Rhonda from Sinnoh Now, and I'm gonna call out Dawn on that. Like, you've met her twice, and she like barely remembers you guys.
They're best friends now,
right? Conveniently, Staravia. Okay, everyone just forgot about poor Staravia. I'm just gonna say that. Like, this bird needs justice. No one's thinking about it until its decoy falls on the river, and it's like, oh, I'll go find Ash.
Okay, but
strange.
That episode where they forgot about Gliscor and they just like left him on a dirt path and not able to fly, and that was the screen that it was like a few episodes ago when Pachirisu had fever and they were like running to get Brock, and Brock just went off without Gliscor, and the last closing scene is like, but we forgot about Gliscor, and Gliscor like lying on the path. Like crying, and it was like to be continued, and I was like, please let the next episode just be like the vengeance of Gliscor being forgotten. But it was not, and I was disappointed.
Gliscor becomes the big bad guy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's got that sinister look to it. So do you think this is the revenge that Gliscor was looking for?
I don't think so, but it would have been nice to have gotten like a comparable Staravia crying about being left behind.
Yeah, definitely. Give it the full emotional treatment that Gliscor was subjected to, for sure. They go over to, what is it, like a hospital? I'm like not even sure what they're doing at this building anymore.
I thought it was a Poke Center.
Oh, it is.
They were gonna go communicate with somebody.
Oh,
maybe it was that reporter or the anchor.
Right. They're gonna go and like talk to her and it's like, hey, we have this Meowth. As they're about to step into the door, they instead fall into a pit trap, and the doors open, and we see just Team Rocket standing inside the Pokemon Center.
Classic.
I'm gonna take your guys' bets. How long were they standing there waiting?
23 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, given that we didn't get the shots of them like being bored and being like, what are we doing? Why isn't this plan? Or like, what is the plan? I think that it can't have been that long.
Yeah, same. which kind of begs the question of like, how did they dig this hole so fast and cover it with cement? Because this is the dirt road. This is the middle of a city. So they're very effective at that apparently, or just in the nick of time. But this is when they notice that Meowth is missing, and so is Mime Jr. But Mime Jr. immediately blows its cover by running over to James, who's very delighted to see him.
One of my favorite things about this episode so far was every time Meowth was like talking with Pikachu or Ash or anyone, Mime Jr. was mimicking his emotions, the Meowth's emotions.
True. I also did like that.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm not sure if you picked up on that, but it was very like in sync. They were on the same page until James shows up.
It's great. Mime Jr. like just dedicates himself to the role every time. It's awesome. Very underrated member of the cast here. Jesse, however, is very much on the offensive here, asking like, "Hey, Meowth, what's your deal?" Because he's he's looking guilty with that Poffin in its paw, and like he's just holding that the whole time, basically. So I don't know why he's like keeping it. He's like, that was so good. I need to save it for later or something.
He does save it for later, though.
Oh, that's okay. I was trying to remember. I was like, it just looks awkward in all these scenes now. Looking back, though.
Yeah, he pulls it back out at the end and is like, "Woo, I stole a Poffin."
my success for the day. And this, of course, turns into a battle with like Empoleon, Seviper, Buizel. Yeah, like we get a look at the Teeter Dance, which is always great. Water Gun, Sonic Boom, just to name out some moves. And Meowth is trying to like convince, like he was kind of going with the flow and tricked himself seemingly into following what the heroes were telling him. But now watching this whole battle go down, he's going down memory lane and thinking about all the good times that he had with Team Rocket, which it's just like a very rushed thing. So to me, it doesn't really have the full impact as it should, since this whole thing started as a scheme, and it's kind of nice that we do kind of see the twist being, he falls for his own deception. But it's just like, it's fine. It's kind of my take on this whole arc for Meowth in this episode. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I'm not a huge fan of like the whole manipulation tactic to this extent. I mean, in general, manipulation's not great. But, when the bad guys are going to be in an episode, they're going to try to manipulate somehow. But in this way of like pretending to be on their team, I don't like that. I feel like it's cheap. Not for like the show, but just like
yeah, I don't know. I thought it
manipulation
also
in general. That's really cheap.
Thank you for the life morals, Brady.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I
I feel like it just wasn't very well executed in this episode as well. Like, I don't know. I had the same reaction of like, it was fine. Like, okay, sure, we did that. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think it's a neat touch that they did add some flashbacks and some like original little moments in there, but it wasn't a lot to write home about. But Meowth does kind of rush into battle here with Poffin in hand still. Headbutts away Ash, kicks Barry, which is kind of satisfying.
Yeah, I
like
that part.
this, because I feel like we don't actually get to see Meowth battle all that often. Right. So it's fun to see. Also, you don't really see Pokemon battling without their trainers all that often, so it's kind of fun to like hear Meowth calling the shots and like calling out his own moves and then doing his moves.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like that we see this new move from Meowth. As it night slashes Empoleon, it actually brings it down, which I was like, oh shoot, like Meowth's been hiding this one for a while.
Yeah, and I think it's a nice touch that he's like, okay, I'm gonna do Night Slash, although I still haven't mastered it, so like I'm a bit nervous, and it's like a nice reminder that Meowth is in fact to Pokemon and is also apparently working on some self-improvement as well and is like learning new moves and stuff. So that was nice.
Wait, so he actually Night Slashed the Empoleon?
Yeah. Night Slash.
Oh, I thought the Napoleon like fainted. You know how they do in animes where like you say something that like, oh, I'm gonna beat you, but I haven't done this yet. And everyone's just like, oh wow, really? And then they like all fall to the ground. I thought that's what Empoleon was doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, from what I could tell, it was actually directly hurt by this attack. So I was like, oh, this is new territory for Meowth. But yeah, for just some context, Night Slash is a new move for this generation. That Meowth's evolutionary line can learn. So I was like, oh, that's a neat touch that they give him a new move as well. For this region, which is like, like honestly, the first time we've seen this in maybe 10 years that he gets a new move. So well deserved, Meowth, well deserved. Yeah, it's nice. Like, ironically, he's being humanized. As kind of Karina was pointing out, with Meowth saying like, I'm still working on the scary part of this, which is a fun touch.
Okay, sidebar. Why doesn't Meowth just learn Payday and solve all of Team Rocket's problems?
Good question. I'm guessing Payday is more of an energy-based move, rather than like, I'm just going to extend my claws. And that's his limit there for some reason. But it is.
I feel like they touched on that on like a previous episode. Not like
right.
Not in this season.
Yes, I think what Karina's referring to is that in a previous season, Meowth says, I can't learn Payday because I used all my like energy to learn how to talk human.
Oh.
And this episode is like, oh, so he can't learn Payday, but he can learn new moves. And my assumption is just like, oh, it's like an energy-based move to conjure coins out of his head. And that's why he can't do it, but that's just kind of my headcanon there.
I was not going that deep because I didn't know that, but good to know.
Yeah, that's definitely me kind of extending it, the stuff that we've been presented with, but again, cool that he's learning Night Slash here. And our heroes are just shocked and be like, we thought you were going good, like you were so close to leaving the dark side, Meowth. Meowth, Don's like, you were gonna be a TV star. And Meowth actually does like kind of flinch at this, which is neat. But still holding the Poffin, he turns around and keeps a face of like, jeez, I don't even know how to describe it, but he just has this expression as he says like, aha, I had you guys all falling for my act, and I got you twerps good. But then again, Don's like, I thought you were becoming a star, and his heart like leaps out of his chest, showing that he's still very much like hurt at the idea of leaving that dream behind. But again, he reinforces that he'll always be part of Team Rocket, and everyone's cheering for him. So our heroes are like, well, that makes it easy for us, and they all team up together with their water-type Pokemon and just send Team Rocket blasting off with like a fusion move of Water Gun, Hydro Pump, and Bubble Beam. Which looks pretty epic, to be fair.
Yeah, it's no Ice Aqua Jet, but, you know.
They really need to use that move more. I
am okay with that not coming back ever again.
Really? How come? What do you have against the Ice Aqua Jet?
I don't know. I mean, I think I was on the episode where it first debuted, and I was like, why is this a thing? Why? I don't know. It's fine.
No, well, it was actually, I think yours was the second time it was there.
Okay.
Yeah, Manny was on the debut one, and this was kind of that was Dawn like just trying out new moves. So we'll actually see a different iteration of it with two completely different Pokemon that Dawn has later.
Spoilers.
Yeah. But maybe Karina will like that more. We'll see. And then Team Rocket blasts off. Meowth enjoys the Poffin, and Staravia's like, oh yeah, I'm here too. It just flaps on in. And Brock is like, who's left? And then everyone's like, well, it's Krogunk. Like, they just know it's Krogunk. And then Dawn says, well, I know I've seen Krogunk around a lot, which means everyone must have seen this Krogunk, but just no one decided to go after it and, like, tell it to come back.
Yeah, they just let Krogunk do whatever Krogunk wants.
And in this case, we see a girl trying to just, like, live her life, and Brock comes over to her, as always, doing Brock things. And, of course, this is the best way to summon Krogunk, who immediately comes, poison shabs him, and takes him away. So, now you know, if ever Krogunk gets separated, this is how you get him back. And as the day kind of closes, our heroes meet with Barry at the boat that he's going to board to go ahead and train at Iron Island. And that's where they part ways. Barry did almost nothing this episode, and that's it. Like, our heroes also almost did nothing this episode.
Barry did enough to make me hate him.
And actually, I lie about this. Meowth did not eat the Poffin because Team Rocket is all fighting over this last Poffin as they are recovering from their blast off.
Yeah, like I said, Meowth saved the Poffin.
Okay, I thought you meant like he saved it and ate it as they were blasting off, which I was like, that'd be nice, but that's not the case. So, what are your guys' thoughts on episode 51, Jumping Rocket Ship?
Not great. I have no idea what Pokemon Barry has, but they made it very clear that he had at least more than one.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when he's like, I'm only going to bring out my Empoleon. Well, when your Empoleon got stolen, why didn't you try to use your other Pokemon to find that Empoleon? The entire time he was running around with no Pokemon out, just looking by himself.
Yeah.
And also the entire time, he didn't care about anyone else's Pokemon. As long as he got his Empoleon, that was all that mattered. I'm just like, I cannot stand you.
Yeah, he was also, like, unnecessarily competitive. He was like, I'm gonna find them before you do, Ash. And it's like, why does it matter? Like, just find them.
Yeah.
He's very much the little kid of the group. Just, like, trying to compete over things that don't matter and clearly not thinking, because we have seen two of his other Pokemon. And it's just, when you said that, Brady, I was like, it makes no sense that he didn't bring it out. His other two Pokemon that we've seen are Roserade and Staraptor.
Yeah, there you go.
Just, like, what? We needed the flying type, like, since the whole episode, basically. That makes it more annoying for sure.
Good. I hope that dropped your rating by 1 point.
Yeah, I don't know. It was gonna be affected too much at this point because my rating is like a 3.5 here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Karina, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I would also put it at about a 3.5. Like, I didn't hate it, but it was also just a very solid, like, meh. Like, there wasn't anything new or interesting or exciting that happened in this episode, and especially given that it's the second last episode of the season. It's like, aren't we supposed to, like, be building the, like, excitement and tension and, like, building for a finale, and it's like, we get, like, the filleriest filler episode ever where nothing happens, and, like, the only cute moment was Piplup being cute and then Happiny carrying Grotle, and we didn't even get much more beyond that.
I have some other thoughts, but Brady, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I would say that I would rate it around a 4.
Okay.
Which still isn't great, but yeah. I agree with Karina, like, we only had those few moments, except a few other moments that I liked were seeing Mime Jr. just mimicking and just being cute. I don't know, maybe some people don't like Mime Jr. Do you not like Mime Jr.?
Oh, I love Mime Jr.
Okay, what about you, Karina?
Mime Jr. very cute, much better than Jinx.
Whoa, chill.
Yes,
Let's not go
agreed.
too far. Okay, but I wasn't sure if it was like still too close to that humanoid type figure that people don't like or not. But I liked Mime Jr. in this episode.
I think the
And
eyes are really nice, compared to Mr. Mime, at least.
yes,
And compared to Jinx.
Yeah.
chill. Get it? Because she's a nice type.
Yeah.
You have to
Simba,
explain your
please.
own jokes.
I was talking about with this earlier, but Karina and I were on a similar episode that I think did this premise way better. Like,
Yeah, like I remember that episode, there being a lot more to discuss and a lot more things happening, and even like
Mhm.
with random Paul trying to catch a Firo, like at least it was a thing.
yeah,
like, I remember like being like interested in what was happening, even if it was to complain about stuff. And this episode, I was just like struggling to even pay attention because I was like, what is happening? And like nothing was happening, nothing was there to like keep me interested in and like invested in the outcome because like there wasn't any hurdle for them to cross. The Pokemon just like showed up when they were ready to show up, and that was
Yeah.
that.
even though Team Rocket seemed weirdly competent in the other episode, it worked to that episode's advantage because it gave our heroes a lot more issues and trying to get back together, and like the thing that we don't see like this whole episode, which I loved about that old one, was trainers using each other's Pokemon. Like Dawn was using Ash's Pokemon, and Ash was using Dawn and Brock's Pokemon, to like get through walls or to like take away or take care of like wild Pokemon that are attacking them.
Yeah, and they were like trying to get through a maze, so it was
Yeah.
like a thing that they were trying to like overcome, and yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. There's just like very little conflict, very little challenge. At the end, it's really just a Meowth episode, and not a great one at that. So, kind of unfortunate. The only kind of thing that isn't filler in this is Meowth getting a new move. But even that is very minor in the grand scheme of things. I just like don't know why we have this. Like, you could have skipped so much of this by like already, hey, you took a blimp across half the region to come to this city. Did you really that seemed like it was to save filler from having them travel, but then you do this episode, so it's kind of unclear what the goal was, unfortunately.
They could have had Team Rocket find some of the Pokemon and hold
Yeah.
those ones hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, that's also what happened in the old episode. They capture Staravia because that's their only flying Pokemon, and they're like, hey, if we take away Staravia, they can't communicate with each other.
Mhm.
So yeah, anything like that would have been a great Brady for sure. Here's some
I
trivia.
would have liked to see like, oh yeah, go for the trivia.
Pokemon.com's online preview for this episode included the line exclaiming, Staraptor finds romance.
Oh,
So, like, okay, like, well, that's wrong in multiple levels because it's not Staraptor, and it's just this dumb thing that Team Rocket gets together. Jesse apparently does make a reference to that old episode, which is called Amazing Race. Did anyone catch that reference?
I don't think I
No,
did.
what did she say?
I don't know. It doesn't actually say. I'm guessing it was probably near the beginning when everyone gets separated, but I missed that as well. When Meowth asks Pikachu if he doesn't trust him, Pikachu mimics Wobbuffet, and Wobbuffet's Japanese name is a pun that reads, "That's right," so it's implied that is what Pikachu replies.
Oh, interesting.
Clever.
Uh-huh. Unrelated, this is just some trivia I know, but I believe Why Not is very similar in terms of its Japanese name, which is kind of like, is that so?
Can you explain the
So when you-
English name?
I don't know I don't know of its English name really, but in Japanese, if you pair them together, it's like a conversation going back and forth saying like, is that so? That's right. Is that so? That's right.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it makes more sense with Why Not, but I don't really get the pun behind, or the meaning behind Wobbuffet's English name.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there is one.
Yeah.
It just looks like a Wobbuffet. Like, if you looked at it and you didn't know its name, you'd be like, yeah, that's a Wobbuffet.
Just
That's true.
screens. Or were you going to say something before, Brady?
Just one of those moments where I forget.
You were going to tell us what you wanted to see?
Yeah. I was gonna say also we could have seen. So I said Team Rocket maybe get some of the heroes' Pokemon as a hostage, but then also what if like Ash and Brock and all of them captured Meowth, and then they had to arrange a trade to see like Team Rocket's struggle with, do we trade away these Pokemon that we just captured for Meowth? And it would kind of be like the opposite thing of how much is Meowth worth to them.
I feel like that's so not setting a good example for all the little children being like, if a bully steals your Pokemon, just steal one right back and see what they can do about it.
Hostage for hostage.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I mean, they're totally fine showing, like, extreme Pokemon abuse and neglect, so, like, it's probably fine.
I think they've done that before, actually, in Johto.
What I had said?
Yeah.
Something similar.
Like, Team Rocket has Pikachu and they have Meowth. And they're very, like, nope, like, we're making this trade or you're not getting your Pokemon back. I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure something like that has happened in the past. So there's precedent for it, and would have made this better, honestly.
Pretty much anything would have made this better. Except Paul. Paul showed up. This would have dropped into a 2 out of 10.
I mean, I actually really like Barry's layer that adds when they are talking about Paul, because it actually brought out one of Ash's best lines in the previous episode, where he addresses Barry and like kind of tries to have an intervention with him, saying, hey, I don't think you should just try to get stronger all the time. I think you should actually try to bond with your Pokemon, because Barry being such a stand for Paul, and also Barry has a whole other backstory that isn't revealed yet, but he's all about getting stronger and getting strong quicker. So Ash actually has a nice moment there to try to like explain how it's important to be nice to your Pokemon and actually appreciate them as individuals and all that good stuff. But yeah, in this context, Barry didn't really add much at all, unfortunately. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode of Sights on Sinnoh. Like, I'm trying to think of a question of the week, but it was kind of self-answered as we were figuring out ways to make this episode better. So if you have suggestions for that, feel free to let us know in the comments down below as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for us this week. Thank you, Karina and Brady, for joining me again.
Yeah,
thanks
thank you
for having us on.
Totally. And if people want to find you, where can they do that?
I am Pangumon.
And I'm Simbacoil on Twitter.
As always, my name is Will.
I'm Karina.
And I'm Brady.
Thank you so much for listening. As always, feel free to check out these episodes wherever you can find them online. Amazon Prime is a place for them at the time of this recording, so go ahead and check those out. And yeah, stay tuned for our next episode as we wrap up this season of Battle Dimension. Until then, we'll see you in Sinnoh.
Bye.
Bye.